diving into, I guess, like the building a brand side of it then, because that was probably, I mean, as far out as like not even knowing how to cook. You know, it's like, I never thought that I'd build a brand and have brand deals and have a social media following. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so true. So this side of it started when the pandemic happened, and I remember a friend of I were chatting, and he kind of made a comment that inspired me, that led me onto this journey of the content creation. Yeah. That wasn't even on my radar. And he said, like, let's use the pandemic as a season for creating and not consuming. Mm-hmm. And that really inspired me, because like it'd be easy. Obviously, we all have jobs. You got to do things online now for that season. But like when you have your extra time, let's not be sitting and just binge watching Netflix. What would it look like to actually use our time to be creating versus consuming? So that actually kind of put me on a journey of like, okay, you know what? I have this hobby of barbecue. What would it look like to, create, not just barbecue, but just film it and take pictures. Yeah. And I just remember another friend was like telling me, he's like, he hates seeing food posts on people's profiles. Like, that's just his thing. And aversion to. So I was like, I'll just create a separate account that's just for barbecue, for people that love food versus my personal one. I just started posting pictures on Instagram and videos, and it really started with pictures. Now it's all pretty much all video, and that started growing and slowly taking off. And then I started getting encouragement. Well, why don't you put a full recipe on video, maybe put it on YouTube, and gosh, like I said, had no clue what I was doing. Production. I mean, gosh, you guys have heard a little bit. I'm a pastor, so I that's not my expertise, is to know how to film. Yeah. I know how to communicate, but it's not, again, even communicating, I wouldn't say is like my strength. Right. So I was like, there's just a lot of unknowns, but I'm doing this for friends that maybe are interested. Yeah. And it just grew over time. And then once I began to realize that this was a niche, if you will, and there was a art to it. If you really studied it, you start learning there's a process to content creation. Oh, there's a thing called branding and having brand deals, and so I didn't know any of that starting out. I just kind of did it, and I didn't even have a logo or anything. And then over time, I was like, okay, I probably needed a logo, so I paid for a cheap one off of Fiverr, and it was not really a good logo at all. And I'm not even saying my current one's great, but it just wasn't great. But it just became fun. And so for me, the content creation, why I continue to do it is it's a hobby that is very fulfilling. It's a creative outlet that really kind of energizes me. And there's a lot of other benefits of why I still enjoy it. Yeah. But I started learning, I started researching, and that's one of the things I love to do. I love to research. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put that same principle to barbecue. So I started researching content creation and best practices, and realized, there's actually a strategy to YouTube. There's a thing called an algorithm. What the heck is that about? I just never paid attention, It's like when you buy a car that you're interested, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. That was true for me on YouTube, and the words like algorithm and analytics and all this stuff. And then brands start approaching you, or you're approaching brands that you're interested in. They start asking you questions about, your demographics of people, and you're like, I got to find that feature on my... Right,
let me figure out what insights are and figure that out.
Exactly. I mean, because when I first started, I didn't know any of that stuff. And then having I guess a CV for your,
like a media kit.
For your content creation. I had to create one of those. And so I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning, because it's only been probably maybe 3 years into the content creation side of it, not the barbecue side, but the content creation. So
the thing is, that's two different animals, right? You got to focus on cooking great food, and also feeding a family, right? You're not just like throwing this food away. It's going to somebody. But then you've got to focus on the editor side of you, which is like, okay, camera angles, audio, and like figure out like, how do I make this a compelling story?
That's right.
Like this, cooking's hard enough as it is.
Yeah, 100%. And then to do it. And another challenge recently has been not only with the video, because you do have a little grace when you're doing video. Yeah. You could splice things that you don't want. You're like, I totally screwed that one up. I'm just going to splice that.
Editing's
I'm
great.
going to edit this to make it look good. This is awesome. and so there's that side. But one thing that's been a great challenge in this season is I've been having the opportunity to do live cooking shows.
Oh, wow.
And one of the companies I work with has been asking me to teach live from my backyard, use my iPhone and my laptop and have different angles. And then I'm just walking an hour's worth of live teaching. But the room for error.
People cook with you during this time then,
yeah,
right?
so just a few evenings ago I did it, and I had about 1,000 of my closest friends watching me cook barbecue. We reverse seared a ribeye steak with some Hasselback potatoes. I hope you're hungry listening to this.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just walked everybody through that recipe. Previous class I did a month ago was party chicken wings with some Alabama white sauce. And so I bring that up to say that was another challenge for me in this content creation. It was getting opportunities to teach live classes.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, balance out. I got to focus on the recipe, make sure I'm not doing everything's right. Don't overcook something while I'm paying attention to, the camera shots or whatnot.
And then you have a Q&A feed as well, right? People are asking if you're live. People are asking questions live.
Yeah, and I had AirPods in, making sure, and I'm new to AirPods, and so falling out my big ears, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm live on here, So it's been a fun journey to kind of also experience the live aspect of cooking and teaching too, but really energizing to help people. And I think that's why I also do the creation is teaching people the basics, because I think every any person, man, woman that's into barbecue and grilling should be their backyard heroes for their family and their neighborhood. Like, it's just fun. Yeah. And it's introduced me to so many neighbors. Like, I remember last summer being at the park with my girls, and my one of my neighbors that at the time I didn't know was my literal backyard neighbor. Yeah. We were just chit-chatting, kind of somehow talked about food and talked about barbecue. It's like, oh yeah, barbecue all the time. He's like, wait a second. Are you the guy that I smell barbecue like all the time? Like right behind me? We connected the dots. We were literally, neighbors from the back fence, and now we share our barbecue with each other and peek over the fence and just check on each other. So you're right. It just brings people together, and it's been fun.